We're going to be going through my World Cup squad for England. This is going to be big. We're going to be talking goalkeepers, midfielders, attackers, and all that good stuff. If anyone I missed out, do get into the comments and let me know. Right, we may as well start at the start of this. Goalkeepers currently in the England squad. There's three goalkeepers in Dean Henderson, Nick Pope, and of course Aaron Ramsdale in terms of number ones right now. I think they are the three keepers that I'd be looking at. Jordan Pickford has obviously overperformed his expected goals this season. He's on a plus 2.5 expected goals, but what I would favour for this England side is a ball-playing goalkeeper, hence why I would definitely start Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's the best out of the three keepers. If you want to go for a sweeping goalkeeper, Nick Pope could be the option, but Aaron Ramsdale, the number one for my England side. But I would probably not take Jordan Pickford, so we're going to drop him into the backup position for the squad. Let's fly through the defenders right now. We've got Ben Chilwell. Centre-backs first and foremost. In terms of starting centre-backs for England, I go a little bit controversial. I think based on form is how I would pick this England squad. I think you would go with Tomore's got to be in there. I think, looking for John Stones in there as well as the sort of the two best. Harry Maguire's not really played for Manchester United this season, but of course he's probably going to be good as a backup. Eric Dyer as well. Connor Cody's probably going to be in the squad just for vibes in there. So that's kind of the three players that we've got. The five players that we probably got to cover the centre-back positions. I think the players that potentially could be up for a bit of a debate in there. Max Kilman, left-footed centre-back, could cover at left-back as well. I think he'd be quite good to get in and around the squad, which would probably push Connor Cody as a backup option. I think having, four centre-backs is probably okay if you're playing a back two, but if you want to have that flexibility and playing a back three, having an extra left-footed centre-back in there would do absolute wonders. Of course, Kyle Walker could be in there as an outside centre-back as well, but we'll leave him for the fullback category. But yeah, they're the kind of options with the centre-backs in there, and I think that's kind of a good position. Obviously, Mark Guehi could be in there as well, but I think I'd put him into the backup as well, maybe ahead of Connor Cody in that position. The players that I feel like you really should be getting into the squad, Ben White, really should be in the England squad as one of the centre-backs. You potentially could have him over Harry Maguire if you want to replace his kind of ball-playing perspective. But he's been absolutely fantastic for Arsenal. Progressive centre-back, could play as a right-sided centre-back as well. He's got the fourth most progressive passes in the Premier League this season. So I think I'd have him in and around the squad as well as an option, potentially actually ahead of Eric Dyer. I think I'd throw Eric Dyer to first reserve, getting Ben White in there as that extra ball player. My England squad would be very much ball playing out of the back, possession-based football. Let's move forward to fullbacks. In there, of course, we've got Ben Chilwell as a left-back. We have got, who else have we got in here? Kieran Trippier. We have Luke Shaw. We have got Carl Walker. Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I'm going to take Trent Alexander-Arnold out for the moment. We will move on to discuss why Trent is not going to be in our defenders. I think in terms of first choice for England in this position, I think Reece James is number one as the right back, and I think Ben Chilwell going into the World Cup will be number two, especially after the work under Graham Potter. Luke Shaw hasn't played much this season. Carl Walker's shown not the greatest form. The other option would be playing Kieran Trippier as a left back instead of Ben Chilwell as a left back to allow him to play as an inverted player to cut inside. So that's kind of the four centre-backs that we've got. Other players that should be considered, Matt Targett's been very, very decent since moving to Newcastle. I think I'd definitely put him on the backup list as a left-back. Ryan Sessegnon could be another really good option if England are going to play a back three. Natural left wing back, playing for Spurs in a back three, could be a great option. But again, I'd probably put him ahead of Matt Targett as the backup option at left back, potentially dropping those two down to not in the squad. And then we've got James Justin as well, who's capable of playing left back, right back, centre back, outside centre back. Another really good versatile option that potentially could be on the backup list. But yeah, let's move through to midfielders, and why we've not included Trent on our fullbacks and wingbacks is he may pop into another category. First up, we've got on number 6s, Declan Rice, the absolute standout number 6. For England, Kelvin Phillips is probably the deputy. I'd put Rice definitely ahead of Kelvin Phillips for this team in there. And, in terms of other options, there isn't that many other number 6s that England could have. Henderson could play that role, but he's more of a number 8 than a number 6. So I'd probably take him out of the squad in that position as it stands, right now. Other players that you want to throw into that position, do get into the chat and let me know who are the players that you want to put into that list. But that's what we got at the moment. We've got 2 number 6s, Declan Rice and Kelvin Phillips. I think that's fine for an international tournament. Moving on to number 8s. This is where Trent Alexander-Arnold's going. Yeah, we're starting it. We are starting it right now. Trent would be in my England squad as a central midfielder. First choice central midfielder with, of course, Jude Bellingham. I'd want that youthfulness. I want the ability to carry through the middle, but also the pressing that we know Jude has done at Borussia Dortmund and achieved at Champions League level. So that'd be my 2 sort of starting central midfield pairing. I think you'd throw in a James Ward-Prowse as well as a Mason Mount. I think that's 4 really good central midfielders that could really get the job done from a work rate perspective, but also a creative perspective. Of course, Mason Mount, one of only 3 players that got over 10 goals and assists last season in the Premier League. We know the delivery, the James Ward-Prowse and the set pieces and the free kicks. Of course, scoring more free kicks than any other player in the last 3 Premier League seasons. So could add some different quality. I like the 3 midfielders. I think Trent would be my number 1 starter at right central midfield, and then the others 3 could compete for that 1 spot in there. Other players obviously in contention. Conor Gallagher from his form of last season would be in contention as a number 8 in this squad. But you probably have to drop him as a backup right now. Jacob Ramsey deserves a mention. He's been fantastic for Aston Villa, but probably a little bit too soon for him in that central midfield zone. He's definitely been Villa's best player without Jack Grealish, or even someone like Joe Willock could be quite interesting if he continues his form. Similar level to Ramsey, only Declan Rice has made more tackles than Joe Willock over the last few seasons. Or alternatively, if you wanted that experience, I'll go with Jordan Henderson, but I quite like my 4 central midfielders in there, so Hendo's going to go down as a backup. Maybe we'll demote Conor Gallagher to not in the squad at all, and we'll throw Joe Willock in there. Right, let's move through to our number 10s. I am not playing number 10s. I'm sticking 4-3-3. So we are not going to pick a single number 10. Our number 10s do need to play out wide in there. I think that's going to be a position that we're going to ignore. It would either be 3-4-3 or be 4-3-3. So number 10s, we're not picking any number 10s. We're either number 8s, number 6s or wingers in this selection. So let's go through wingers. I think Saka's first and foremost going to be number 1. The spark that he's added to the Arsenal attack has been sensational. Goals, assists, natural left footer as well, which you obviously got to really appreciate. I think starting with him, you've got a number of players. You've got Sterling in there, potentially. You've got Phil Foden. You've got Jarrod Bowen. You've got Jack Grealish. You've got Jadon Sancho, Jack Harrison, Marcus Rashford, or James Maddison. I think starting we'll go with Sterling. So we've got Saka, Sterling as our 2 wingers. In there, of course, you probably would take Phil Foden. I think he's the natural choice in there as one of our wingers. And then I think it's quite an interesting one of who else goes. Obviously, if we ignore the 2 strikers, Tammy Abraham and Tammy Abraham, only two 9s going, because you can put someone at false 9 in there. It is between the sort of the 5 players. This will come down to form at the start of the season. Jack Grealish has looked very poor for City so far. Fred was directly involved in more goals than him last season in the Premier League. That is a bit of a worry. Jack Harrison's form and left-footedness is quite attractive. Jadon Sancho, of course, is starting to develop under Erik ten Hag. Rashford right now, you get him in the squad. But you could be throwing a Maddison in there or a Jarrod Bowen. I think that's the 3 players that I would take in. I take one of the 3 for my sort of second winger on one of the sides. I think current form, you'd probably go with Marcus Rashford, but by the end of the season, we could see James Maddison or Jarrod Bowen in there. Of course, you'd throw Grealish as well, potentially in that backup list to utilise his creativity, but at the moment I don't think he deserves a place in the England squad. So my England squad, let's recap that. We've got Ramsdale, Nick Pope, Dean Henderson. We've got Tomori, John Stones, our starting centre-back pairing. Tomori's been so good in Italy. We've got Harry Maguire, Max Kilman and Ben White into our sort of fullbacks. We've got Reece James, Chilwell, Trippier, Walker, Shaw. 2 6s, Phillips and Rice. We've got 4 8s, Trent, Bellingham, James Ward-Prowse and Mason Mount. Of course, Bellingham and Mount could technically play as our wingers. Then we've got 4 wingers, Sterling, Saka to start, Foden and Rashford on the bench, Tammy and, of course, Kane up front. Let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We need to get rid of 2 players, guys. Max Kilman's going to go to backup, and we'll also put Luke Shaw into the backup category as well. And then I think we've got our perfect squad there, guys. Our 23. Let's get this party started. So they're my thoughts on England's squad for the World Cup. Get into the comments below who you think Gareth Southgate has to take for England to lift the silverware.